He's gone! Bill Belichick's tenure as the New England Patriots head coach has come to an end after 24 seasons, the last of which was a 4-13 campaign that gave the Patriots the number 3 overall pick in April's upcoming NFL draft. Well, alright, let's start with first reaction. Thank God. I was starting to get worried, I'm not gonna lie. At the time of recording, this is a couple hours after he's been fired, and we had dragged on Monday. Okay, I get it. You don't want to do Bill the disservice of doing it on Black Monday when every other coach gets fired around the league. He's a little bit more important than that. I understand you wanting to wait. As we got to Tuesday and Wednesday, I started to get a little bit more anxious, I guess. I was worried that Robert was going to second guess himself. I was worried that he wasn't going to pull the trigger like everyone else seemingly in the organization wanted, or at least a large majority of people wanted. Key decision makers that wanted to move forward and start fresh. And in my opinion, that's the main takeaway here. This is a chance for the Patriots, if they so choose, to start fresh. It's the path that I want them to take. It's the path that I think some other people want them to take as well. The question is, will they do it? If they want, they can go and make a clean break. Everything associated with Bill out the door, starting with his kids, moving on to even, yes, Gerard Mayo, Bill O'Brien, all these other coaches, any sort of personnel people, Matt Groh, anyone who's been there under Bill and still has the effect of Bill, they need to go. I think that this is an opportunity for Robert to start anew in the twilight of his ownership, hire a young offensive mind, think of Ben Johnson with the Lions, and move forward into a new era of Patriots football armed with a lot of cap space and a really good premium draft pick. What will Bill Belichick's legacy be in New England? Ultimately, that of a winner. Ultimately, that of the greatest coach of all time. But that does not mean that it didn't sour at the end. I'll be the first to tell you that, frankly, what Bill's been doing for the last 3 or 4 years post-Tom Brady has not been nearly good enough. It feels like this Patriots team is old, definitely slow, and lacks the star power that you need to compete, especially with teams like the Dolphins and Bills within your own division. It's not to say everything that Bill did was bad, it's just when you have Tom Brady masking 20 years of, good, but also some questionable decisions, all of your moves look better. And he was exposed a little bit without him as not having the answer. Like many great coaches are, you need one good star player, especially at the most important position in football, to really make the engine go. And Bill, it turns out, was really not that much different. Which of course is not to say that he wasn't a good coach. I mean, he was. He's still the best of all time. He's still got juice left in the tank. I expect him to go and coach at a high level somewhere else. If I had to guess, I think it's going to be Dallas, especially if they flame out in the NFC divisional round again. Or, who knows, they could even lose to the Packers this week as well. But in doing so, in firing Bill Belichick, Robert Kraft has officially moved on from the 2 pillars of this franchise, obviously Brady being the first. It's the end of an era. I mean, let's face it, I am 23, I'm going to be 24 later this year, and I have not known anything other than winning, except when it comes to the last few years. I grew up and I could barely remember 2007, and then from then on, I followed Patriots football like everybody else has in this region. They did a whole lot of winning, and this is the end of an era. You got to move on at some point. All good things must come to an end, and you don't get storybook endings in sports. You really don't. It's very rare that you get something like a Peyton Manning where you can win a Super Bowl and cowboy off into the sunset. That certainly wasn't the case with Brady here. Definitely won't be the case with Bill, as he did not eclipse his goal of passing Don Shula on the all-time NFL wins record. But hey, you got to live with it. And his choices, this is why there's not a whole lot of pity for me to go around, quite frankly. Bill did this to himself. GM Bill did this to Coach Bill. I still think Coach Bill has plenty left. GM Bill is washed. He's been washed for a while, almost a decade. He hasn't signed a guy to a second contract since, I think, Daron Harmon, of the guys that he's drafted, and that was 2013. But moving on for the Patriots, you have to consider the future. I've already said that I would like Ben Johnson as my head coach coming up, but let's face it, I don't know if Robert's going to be willing to go outside the family, if you will, when it comes to making this next hire. So, do you want to go after Gerard Mayo and move him up from an in-house candidate into being the head coach like he may have been promised when he re-signed with the Patriots last offseason? Do you want to go out and get Mike Vrabel, who was recently let go by the Tennessee Titans? Do you want to hire Brian Flores back from Minnesota and make him your head coach? I think all 3 are decent options. They're not my top. I do have concerns about not going with an offensive-minded head coach in today's day and age, because as soon as the OC becomes a hot enough ticket, boom, he's gone and he goes for another job. That's a concern when it comes to going and hiring a defensive mind. I think that all three of them have the respect of the players. I think all of them know what it takes to lead a locker room, and that's why I still, at the end of the day, if we hired one of them, I'd be fine with it. But where do the Patriots rank in terms of openings, in terms of coaching openings? I mean, they have a crap ton of cash. I'm sure I'm flashing the graphic up as we speak. They have a great pick, number 3 overall, and obviously high picks throughout the draft because of their terrible record this year, worse than the AFC. But then you look at it and say, all right, the openings: Seattle, Washington, Atlanta, Vegas, Tennessee, Carolina, and the Chargers. Where do the Patriots rank in terms of that? So I think I put Carolina bottom, first of all. I think that their opening is just complete garbage. David Tepper's a terrible owner, so I'm not worried about that. I think when it comes to the best ones, I do really like Seattle. I think Seattle has a lot of hope. They need a new quarterback, obviously, but they have a lot of talent on either side of the ball. That Russell Wilson trade helped them immensely when it came to recouping and restructuring their offensive line and kind of fleshing their roster out with more talent again. I think that whoever succeeds Pete Carroll will have a good job on his hand. But after that, I think it kind of melds into a little bit of a wash. Atlanta doesn't have a quarterback either. The Chargers are old and are really over the cap, so they're probably going to have to make a lot of cuts, and they don't have a whole lot of draft capital to go up and spend big. The Raiders have just been inept for a while. I think if someone could figure out their defense, they would be good. But again, is that more attractive than the Patriots when it comes to you could really remake the roster in your own image? I guess that's up to whoever gets hired. I would probably put them in that second tier. I think Washington has a lot of draft capital, and Josh Harris is going to look to spend a lot of money, so I think that that's an attractive job for whoever wants to go and be part of the new rebrand of the Washington Commanders. And then you have Tennessee, which I just don't think is that attractive, I'll be honest. Again, aging roster, you're in a division full of young quarterbacks, it's just not ideal. Will the Patriots do anything with it? That remains to be seen, but the bottom line is step 1 is complete. Bill Belichick is no longer the coach of the Patriots. Thank you, Bill. Love you, mean it, but I'm going to take one of your old adages, which is, hey, you got to do what's best for the team. And in this case, that's what the Patriots are doing. Please like, subscribe, comment. Thank you guys. Happy New Year, I guess. First video of the new year. We will be back as more things develop. Maybe as the Patriots hire a head coach. Maybe something dissecting how bad the Red Sox have been. We'll see. Anyways, do all that fun stuff. Thank you guys, as always, for listening. My name is Jeremy, and I will see you again next time. Peace.